Some politicians in Cameroon have argued that the country is not financially viable enough to pay a single senator 3 million francs CFA per month. And also in this news, because the growing number of high blood patients remains a big problem to medics in Cameroon and beyond, who say that young people are getting more and more affected. Plus, a man in his 40s dies under unclear circumstances. That was at the Bepanda Tone neighborhood here in the city of Douala today. These are major headlines, details and more just in a moment. Thanks indeed, viewers, for joining us in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. We begin right away in politics, where critics have ruled against the pay package of senators in the country, arguing that 3 million francs CFA is too much for a country, for the government of Cameroon to pay senators on a monthly basis. They maintain that Cameroon is not ready to host senatorial elections in Cameroon, but what is more preoccupying is that the Senate remains a very important organ in the country's legislation, as Yaoundé-based correspondent Roland Akon tells us in the following report.
Edith Kabangwala knows the monthly pay of Cameroonian senators to be elected next April 14.
Chaque sénateur avec 3 millions, ça fait 300 millions par mois.
The president of the Cameroon People's Party says each senator will earn 3 million a month, making an allocation of 300 million by the state each month for the salary of senators. Kawala believes Cameroon, like Senegal and other African countries, does not need a senate now.
At this particular point in time, Cameroonians do not need a senate. What they need is solutions to their basic problems: water, electricity, jobs for our young people, security in our neighborhood.
Other critics believe the Senate is not necessary in a highly centralized system like Cameroon.
In a Cameroonian context, where the head of state has over centralized powers, unlimited powers, to appoint members of the judiciary, appoint members of the government, appoint generals in the army, and appoint just everybody, I think that the Senate in this context is a superfluous institution, which is not necessary for Cameroon.
The Senate, at this particular point in time, first of all, the way it is conceived in our constitution, it is anti-democratic. You have an institution where 30% of the senators are nominated. One of the roles of a legislative body is to control the executive. You cannot control somebody who is nominating you. You are waiting for your next nomination, so you will not be able to do any effective control over that person.
However, the upper house of assembly plays an important role in the legislative system.
You can consider it a house of second thoughts. There is the parliament debates and adopts laws, sends these laws to the house of second thoughts or the house of wise men or elders, and then they look at it and they either reject or amend those laws as per Article 26 and Article 30 of the Constitution of 1996.
Meanwhile, contract teachers have promised to boycott lectures next Monday, that is, as schools resume to protest against failure by government to integrate them into the public service. The media intentions known during a press conference which took place yesterday in the central region of the country. Roland Akon tells us more once again.
At this briefing in Yaoundé Thursday, PTA contract teachers announced their intention to stay away from schools when classes resume next Monday for the third term. The PTA contract teachers, 60,000 in number nationwide, are demanding immediate enrollment into the Cameroonian public service.
We need integration of teachers as functionaries, because when we were recruited, they said that after 5 years they will pass us as integrated teachers, but it is not what has been.
The contract teachers say they are angry that an ad hoc committee put in place by government to solve their problem has found no satisfactory solution after 6 meetings so far.
There are no serious measures that have been taken. That is their routine of giving us several rendezvous.
We did not succeed to get government's reaction over the issue. An enrollment of the PTA teachers into the public service will improve on their lot, but it is a financial burden the government apparently is not ready to embrace so soon.
Meanwhile, a man in his 40s has died at a local hospital at the Bepanda Tone neighborhood here in the city of Douala, where he was rushed to this afternoon after he is said to have gone unconscious. Reports say the deceased parked his motorcycle, slept on the road, and then did not wake up. Security forces later arrived at the scene and, with the help of some locals, ferried the man to the hospital where he was confirmed dead. And up to now, the exact cause of his death remains a mystery. Back to the central region of the country, security forces remain tightened at the Yaoundé Social Insurance Hospital, where the film producer and student of the University of Yaoundé 1 is receiving treatment. Entrance and exit are strictly restricted into the emergency ward, and even his brother said he was also being prevented from seeing him. That is Richard Njimeli by law enforcement officers. Richard Njimeli was discovered in a bush in Mendong that was in the central region of the country few days or about 2 days ago, after he was injured and later abandoned by his alleged kidnappers. Communication Minister Issa Shiroma Bakari remained indifferent on the subject in a press conference he granted journalists yesterday in the central region of Cameroon. Now we talk health, where high blood pressure continues to give medics sleepless nights as more and more people, including youths, are being affected. Medical experts have blamed the increasing number of patients on poor eating habits. In prelude to the World Health Day on high blood pressure that is going to take place on the 7th of April come Sunday, our reporter Jonathan Babila talked with a medical doctor here in the economic capital Douala and compiled the following report.
Medical experts have advised people who are 40 years old and above to ensure that they check their blood pressure at least once or twice yearly in a bid to avoid the deadly effects of high blood pressure. This is because people who suffer from hypertension have no way to know that they have high blood pressure, given that it does not show any symptoms. As such, there are many people suffering from high blood pressure and are at risk of heart diseases but are not aware. Apart from being hereditary, feeding habits and lifestyle are important risk factors. It is in this light that hypertension, which used to be common mostly with old people, is increasingly being observed among young people, especially alcoholics. High blood pressure often results in severe organ and cellular damage. Medical practitioners have therefore advised people to regularly carry out physical exercises, lower their consumption of alcohol, sodium or salt and fat, and quit smoking.
Now we take you to Bamenda Northwest region of the country, where councillors of the Bamenda Free Municipality have decried what they termed the abandonment of their area by the Bamenda City Council. This was during the council's administrative account session that held at Nkwen Fonds Palace. The councillors complained of pile of dirt that litter around the municipalities, causing pollution and other diseases. They argue that it is the responsibility of the Bamenda City Council to dispose of the dirt. The draft administrative account session was unanimously adopted during the council session, and some of the various setbacks faced by the councillors addressed. Now in the following excerpt, the Lord Mayor of the Bamenda Free Council, who is Fongo Cletus, tells us some of the resolutions that were arrived at during the account session.
I want to say these observations are good, and we will certainly use them to improve upon the services. That is why we actually have to put the question in front of the Secretary General of the City Council, who was representing the government delegate in that meeting, and we actually want him to try to address the situation in the days ahead so as to maintain the relationship between the Bamenda 3 Council.
Here in the Littoral regional officials are putting everything in place to ensure a hitch-free celebration of the 127th edition of the International Labour Day in a bid to avoid problems linked to follow-up and also transparency. It was decided that only the regional delegation of Labour and Social Security would collect the registration of fees from enterprises, contrary to last year. During a preparatory meeting this Friday at the governor's office, Governor Joseph Betia Somo exhorted managers of enterprises to be more vigilant and also denounce all the cases of falsehood in connection to the collection of registration fees ahead of the Labour's Day celebrations. We take you to the central region of the country, where some price controllers of the central regional delegation of trade are complaining of the many setbacks they encounter on the field with traders. The revelation was made during a workshop organized to empower newly recruited price controllers in the central region of the country. Roland Akon in the following report looks at the problems of price controllers in the central region of Cameroon.
Market price controllers in the execution of their duties are constantly in skirmishes with traders.
Because at times you enter, the person will tell you, get out of my shop, I don't need controllers, and then they'll tell us that I cannot buy, for example, you buy a bag of rice from 17,000 francs, they'll tell us that I cannot buy for 17,000 francs and then sell less than 17,000.
On the field, many price controllers do not show mastery of litigations, the procedure of sanctions against abuses in prices, weights and measures. It is a complex domain. Last year, no candidate even passed the entrance exam into ENAM of prices, weights and measures. This gathering, grouping the new 25,000 recruits at the Central Regional Delegation for Trade, seeks to empower the beginners with knowledge which will enable them execute their duties without palaver.
They teach us how to present yourself in front of the consumer, the procedure, the normal procedure we have to follow. You don't just have to enter and tell the consumer that I come for the, you explain. You explain so that the consumer, the trader should first of all know what you are there for.
It is a regular exercise to help avoid embarrassments which price controllers encounter on the field regularly.
Roland Akonde reporting from Yaoundé, and that does it for this segment of the news. Up next is Talking Point. Good evening, viewers. Thanks indeed for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We have as guest a journalist, Mr. Tria Suebo. Good evening and thanks indeed for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, Bimi. It's a pleasure being here again.
We invited you within the context of some of the newsmaking events of the week, precisely the issue of Cameroon cocoa, which is at this point facing a serious crisis or threat in the international world market due to its purported poor quality, and also the case of the film producer and student of the University of Yaoundé one that was allegedly kidnapped, who is currently receiving treatment in Yaoundé. But we begin right away with the cocoa issue, which is a big problem. What does it mean by the Cameroonian cocoa might not be able to face or to meet international standards in the nearest future? What does that mean?
Thank you very much. This situation might be new to the ears of some Cameroonians, but it's an issue that took place since the year 1990, since the Cameroon government abandoned this sector. So it should be noted that since 2010, the year 2010 to 2011, the production of the Cameroonian cocoa dropped up to 39%, which caused a wonderful problem. Not only the quality that is being prohibited at the level of the international market, but the quantity of production drops from the normal production to up to 39%. So as you can see, all these problems is because of some practices that some producers, like what happened, took place in Yaoundé, in the center and south region some couples of months ago, where some farmers, instead of drying the coffee in the normal procedure, they used to take some of this coffee and cocoa to the streets and dry them there, which has completely destroy the quality of our coffee in the country.
How did the farmers get here? Is this what used to hold in the past, or this is just a rising phenomenon?
Anyway, it is a rising phenomenon, Mimi, like you said, because before 1990, coffee used to be one of the most important things that used to sustain the Cameroonian economy.
Up to now?
Yeah, up to now, because 40% of our export constitute of coffee and cocoa. So it is not something new, it's something that started long ago. So these malpractices is due to the laxity of the government. Why is the government not subsidizing this sector? Before the coming of Minister Essimi Munir, Atangana, the former Minister of Agriculture was there, and he made mention of this crisis, that the crisis of the low quality of production, the crisis of the low quality of production and the crisis of the low quantity that were being produced.
Now they are trying to look at ways of improving the quality of cocoa so that it could be able to meet international standards. So do you see this problem maybe ending up? Do you think that this problem might end up being resolved?
Yeah, of course, it's going to be a solution, because since 2006, some budget was signed. The government signed a budget and sent abroad out of the country for research. So I think the initiative the Minister of Agriculture is taking, we saw him in Douala, even though he is following but the wrong way, because we cannot tell you that there is a fire burning in the kitchen and you leave and go back to the room. So normally...
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I want to mean that the Minister of Agriculture, instead of going to the western region and either going to the south and to the center where the cocoa and the coffee are being produced, farmers are best, he instead preferred coming back to the littoral region. So me, I wonder and I question myself if he's not practicing a kind of marketing myopia, because instead of following where the coffee and cocoa are being produced, coffee and cocoa farmers are, he preferred to come to the littoral region. So I doubt if he was coming for the main purpose or he came to Douala but for something else. But for what I know the government is doing everything possible to bring to standard
According to you,
coffee.
if the minister happened to get closer to the farmers, it would better sensitize them. Is that what you think?
Exactly. It should be noted that the Cameroon farmers are not sensitized. They are not aware of the way of handling their farms. They are not aware of the way they should grow the coffee, and the government is not even there. Farmers' banks, in Cameroon, they talk about farmers' bank only like a slogan. They don't put into practice what they are supposed to do. They don't give them money for them to do follow-ups. They don't give them product for them to fight. It should also be noted that due to the climatic change, it has also caused a wonderful problem to the quality of the Cameroon coffee. So since the world was talking about the climatic change, it affected our coffee as well. And the government too was not there to go toward the population to tell them what they are to do.
So how do the farmers get to meet with the changing climate?
It can only be through the media, but like I said, it's quite a regret that the minister himself is not doing everything to come closer to the media, call the media on the field, so that through the media the farmers can know what to do, where to do what, when, and so on. So this is the regret I have.
Is it only through the media?
Yeah, it's only through the media, like I said. Thank you.
Like maybe when we talk about the problems of farmers, when you look at the way some of the problems that they face is how to dry this cocoa. That is one of the problems that might face the cocoa sector in Cameroon. Don't you think that there could be another way that another proposal that could be given to farmers?
Of course, it is no longer in news that the problem of route to farm has been a problem in Cameroon. You know, farmers, they don't have access to their farms. They don't have good routes that leads to farms. The prices too is a problem. Price is also a problem, and when they even suffer for like 12 months, I think, even when they take this coffee to the market, the price is not there. So the problem of route is a problem. The problem of the government coming in to subsidize is equally a problem. So some of them are not even skillful. So the government should go toward them, try to sensitize them, subsidize this sector, try to create routes here and there, and know where to do this investment rather than coming to the littoral region. We know that coffee production is in the western region, the northwest region, southwest, and the south and the center. So I don't know why the government, the Minister of Agriculture preferred to visit the littoral region, like I said.
A most talked about event of the week was that of the Cameroon, that the film producer and also student of the University of Yaoundé, one that was allegedly kidnapped, and after he was kidnapped, he was discovered about 2 days ago. What impression do you have about that information?
Well, you know, this incident just came in after we discussed that of Mimboman, what took place in Mimboman. So it is not something surprising in Cameroon, even though a lot of comments has gone here and there about the kidnaps of the famous artist, which is a university student. But fortunately, he has been found, even though his kidnappers, they didn't harm him. So what we can say is that thanks to God, he has been found and he's in good health. The situation is not that critical like the Minister of Communication said. So that is what I think. So
he's actually a producer of a movie that criticizes longevity in power. He criticized longevity in power, and many people are attributing his kidnapping to the movie he produced. He
should be questioned about this. So we should first of all know if he meant longevity or that was to destabilize the regime. So those are the questions to be asked. You saw his colleagues that came on air, they declared that the film had nothing to do with the longevity or with the regime in place. So I don't know why people are insinuating information, bringing in wrong information.
What do you mean? You are saying that his kidnapping had nothing to do probably with the film?
Yeah, if I said it has nothing to do with the longevity or whatsoever. So I want to believe that there has been other film producers in Cameroon, so he's not the first. So many other film producers has produced films that has been sold, and they got a visa from the Ministry of Communication, of Culture, and the Minister of Culture is not a fool. Before she signed, I think she verified, and a copy was been given to her, and she verified everything before the visa. It was being visaed. So to me, I don't believe that was the main issue why he was kidnapped. The problem should be elsewhere.
Because this kidnapping has raised so many questions on maybe the Cameroon film industry itself, and or maybe what they do, maybe what some of the, because this is the first time, or I shouldn't say it's the first time, this is one of the movies that has actually depicted, according to some analysts, the societal ills in Africa and Cameroon, to be more specific. So and we see the producer being kidnapped and beaten, and he is injured, and now he's receiving treatment. He's raising a lot of questions.
Yeah, being a film producer or not, you know, people are being kidnapped in Cameroon every day. Those that were kidnapped even before that of Richard, it wasn't because they were film producers. So that is the Cameroon context, and people are not maybe used to such issues. So even if he was kidnapped, it's something other people has been kidnapped in Cameroon. So why is it that his situation is special? People should not take it to be very special. So I don't see it political or because he produced a film that talked about longevity in power or whatsoever. So
that led to his kidnapping, so it's just but normal that.
Yeah,
and
that
the
is
issue of the child that was also kidnapped, that was found with a woman at the third police district in Bonaberi.
Like what I said, you know, the incident that took place in Bamenda some weeks ago, today nobody is talking about that of Mimboman as well. So for the issue of kidnapping children is something that is so famous.
Does that not pose a problem of insecurity?
It poses a problem of insecurity. I've said that on this social media. I told you that when we even talk about insecurity, we should not only mention the children and people that are being kidnapped here and there. We have insecurity on our roads. We have insecurity if people cannot feed normally, if people cannot sleep normally and so on, they cannot work normally. That is also insecurity. Insecurity is not only kidnapping but social as well. So that one is so famous in Cameroon, and the government is not coming into with a solution. We know the good number of police men we have in Cameroon, the gendarmes post, and here and there that happens. Even when you are attacked at home, when you call the police or the gendarmes, what do they do? So I think the government, they are not playing a deaf
But it
ear
remains
to
more
this.
preoccupying when a 2-year-old child disappears, she's nowhere to be found, and they later get to find her with a woman at a police district.
Exactly. So we should only wait for the investigation to get finished for us to draw a conclusion. But like I say, kidnapping is no longer a news in Cameroon. It's something that takes place almost every day. We saw what happened in Bamenda, that of Mimbuman, like I said, and no solution has been taken, no measures have been taken. The same incident keep on happening every day. So the Minister of Health, the Minister of Defense, the Director General of Public Security and so on should take their responsibility and try to assure the security of Cameroonians and their properties.
Thanks indeed, Mr. Tria Swebo, for joining us tonight on Talking Politics.
Thank you to me.
Mr. Tria was here tonight to tell us to analyze on some of the news-making events of the week. Viewers, we thank you so much for joining us tonight in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. Have a wonderful stay in the company of our programs, and good evening. Have a wonderful weekend as well.